Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Today we have a piece of plum. This comes to us from our friend Tuffy Marginez. Tuffy sends along a lot of cherry plum. This is the first time he's ever sent just plain old plum. And I can tell that this has some beautiful grain in it. Pink, purple, brown. It's going to be nice. The piece is, let's see, I haven't checked, about 5.5 by 6 by 2.5 inches thick. We're just going to make a bowl. I don't know how much of that bark we're going to be able to save. I'll certainly try to save some, but I'm sure plenty of it's going to go away as well. Let's see what happens. We're going to be turning at 1100 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. I decided to knock the corners off first, so I moved my tool rest over here. Ow. I'm going to put a glove on. I might try something a little bit different here. I kind of like the way this is developing. Yeah, I kind of like that. I don't know if you do. 3 flat sides and then a bark side. Completely on accident. I don't know if it's going to look good or not. Kind of does to me. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. We'll come down here and work on the bottom and get a tenon on it. I did mark out for a tenon. The wood just turns beautifully, plus look at those great colors. Yeah, I think it's an interesting shape. I can see a big gap back in here. Goes from here, I don't know how high up it goes, but I can see right inside that hole right there. But it doesn't wiggle. Seems to be plenty strong. I'm going to use this diamond point tool to square up the sides of my tenon. Okay, that's good. I'm just going to work on this corner a little bit. And some shear scraping here. Well, how about that? Well, I did not have a shape in mind, but I really like this. It's just kind of different, isn't it? You gotta love those colors. Come on, you gotta love that. And this beautiful bark. Woo-wee. You know, we're done. Time for sanding. I'm going to start the sanding with my Sandoflex. I'm going to sand the bark here. Sand this over here, and I'll sand this with my Sandoflex at 180 grit. And then I'll switch to a 2-inch Abranet disc starting at 80 grit, and I'll work up through 400. And I'll show you both of those as soon as I get my mask on. And I also will sand these flat spots. We've got 3 flat spots. I'll sand those with my 2-inch disc like this. And then with its lathe spinning in reverse at about 350 RPM. And then I will alternate with forward. And I'll just work my way up through the grits to 400, and I'll bring you back when it's time to put some finish on here. See you in a bit. I decided on Howard Feed and Wax for this piece because it's a good product. But because I like the way it makes the wood feel, and this piece, the general shape of this piece, is going to be something you want to just pick up and fondle. And this always brings out the grain so well and just makes a piece feel silky smooth. Look at those colors, look at that grain. So nice. Sanding did take quite a little while because of these flat sides, 3 flat sides and 1 bark side. So I've been at it for probably close to 2 hours. Boy, up on the top side here we have some that's just a creamy color. None of this pink, purple stuff, it's just almost whitish. Now to get in here in the bark, I'm just gonna squirt a little in here. And then I'll brush it in. And the way I'll get it out of there once it's dry, which is about a half an hour, 20 minutes or so, I will first blow it out with compressed air, and then I'll use a nice clean toothbrush to buff that part. And to buff the rest of it, I'll just use a rag. So I will let this set up, I'll buff it up, and I'll bring you back when it's time to start working on the inside. I'm looking forward to that. I haven't quite decided what we're going to do, if it's going to be a closed form or an open form or a bowl or what. But we'll figure it out as we go. See you in a bit. I get asked quite a bit about how I make decisions about how to turn a piece, how to mount it, which way's up, you know, just lots of questions about my decisions. This is one part of that. I told you maybe I would make a closed form or maybe an open form or maybe a bowl. I wasn't sure because I didn't have this view that I now have. So I'm just looking around here. This is a flat top, got a curve here. I'm just looking around. If I follow that flat top and open up everything inside of it, what's going to happen out here? And I always want to preserve the nature. This is the nature in the piece. The bark, these recesses, I always want to preserve as much of that as I can. So I just hold my finger and I go around, and I really don't want to lose much of this. I certainly don't want to get down this far into it. And the same here, I want to preserve some of that. So I'm just looking around. What's going to happen here? Well, if I come all the way out here, I'm going to take out this hole and that hole is connected to another hole out here. So I want to stay inside of that. So now I've moved my finger in, and I'm going to preserve this and take this away. I got to take something away. And now I'm pretty much missing this. But that makes for a small opening. So again, open form, closed form. I still don't really know, but now I have an idea. I'm going to start inside of this, because this is about the furthest it comes in here. I'm going to start inside of that. That'll make a pretty small opening, and we'll see how it looks, and maybe we'll come out further. That's just part of the decision-making process, and it just comes from practice. And you need to stop often and look and see what you've got. So we're going to be turning at 1300 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. Now I can't see any of those while it's spinning, so I have to stop and see where I am in relationship to this. I can come another 1/2 inch. So now, do I like that? Well, yeah, I like it. Would I like it more if I went further? Well, I don't know. I can undercut and come out this way, and so that the interior follows the exterior. But if I do that, then I have to be careful over here that I don't come in here too far. I don't want a hole out here. Sometimes I don't mind a hole, but if I don't have to have one, that's okay too. So I guess I'll start that undercut process a little bit and see how that looks without opening this up any more than it is. I can't get very far over there. I'll have to switch to a carbide tool, an undercutting tool. Then you have to decide, do you want this to be a practical piece? You want to put candy in here or whatever. I have no idea, dried flowers or something. Is that the purpose of the piece, or is it an art piece? Doesn't matter about holes and things. It's just something to set on a table and look pretty. Because this is not practical the way it is now, such wide, thick sides. But maybe I want to expose more of that grain. I mean, we're starting to see some pink and purple here. Maybe we want to see more of it. So maybe I should come out here further. I can still come another 1/2 inch easy without getting too far down into this. And it'll still leave some of this and all of that mostly. I might lose this, but I'll still have this. I kinda am inclined to come out here further. I really like this piece and I don't want to blow it, but it just looks too thick. Now we still have a flat top on here, and this is all rounded out here. I kind of want to make that flat top go away, but I don't want to make the bowl any bigger than it is, the opening. So I'm just going to lay my gouge on its side, and I'm just going to round this over out to this edge right here, and it'll look better. It'll look like the opening's bigger, but it won't be, if that makes any sense. going to switch to this carbide tool so that I can undercut the top here. But I still have to be very careful because this is quite thin right here. And to use that, I have to pull back some so that the flat part of the tool is on the tool rest. Oh yeah, that's about a 1/16 of an inch. See that? So I don't want to go much thinner than that. And how are we doing on the bottom? We're about 5/8 of an inch on the bottom. So I can go another 3/8 of an inch. Yeah, it's about a 1/4 inch on the bottom. That's good. Okay, we are hollowed. We'll do a little more work around this top edge. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Time for sanding. Someone told me you could wash the Abranet discs, so I thought I'd try it. This one was completely worn out. This is an 80 grit, and it didn't feel sharp anymore. So I took it in the house and I washed it under, I just ran water on it from the faucet. I think I did put a little bit of soap on there, not much. And I just kind of rinsed it out and set it aside to dry, and today it feels sharp again. So maybe that's something. And it was supergrit.com that sent me these to try. So I'm trying them. I tried it on the outside and it worked well. And I've tried it on another piece and it worked well. So I'm just trying it again today. Starting at 80 grit, working up through 400. The lathe is going to be spinning forward at 350 RPM. And I'll show you that as soon as I get my mask on. Sometimes this shape could be hard to sand on the inside, but I'm lucking out. The 2 inch is going to work just fine. So I'll bring you back here in a little bit when it's time to put some finish on the inside. Well, the sanding was nowhere as easy as I thought it would be. There's some bug damage in here, right over here. And that kept catching the edge of the sanding disc and just ruining it and ruining the pad that it was on. So I've been at this for a while again. I'm going to go ahead and do the outside again because it wraps around here. I haven't seen any advantage to doing a second coat of Howard Feed and Wax, and it doesn't say anything about it on the bottle. So I normally only do 1 coat, but because of the wraparound, I'm doing 2. And I like this piece. I sure hope you do. I can't wait to get it in my hands. Just feeling it the way it is. It's so cool because you have so many surfaces. See you in a bit. I've mounted a block of wood up in my chuck. It's got a non-slip surface on it. I'm going to place the bowl over that and bring up the tailstock. I still have my center hole there for reference. Just apply a little pressure, bring up the tool rest. We'll spin the piece up. I'll hold my fingernail against the edge of the tenon, make sure it's running true, and it is. I'm going to use a 3/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge and commence to removing that tenon. Now I just want to check for clearance, and I have clearance, so I'll just keep working it away. I just want to check my work here. Looks good. Now I'm going to adjust my tool rest a little bit closer and a little bit higher. You don't want to get under that little nub. It'll cause it to pop out of there. Now I'm going to slow the speed down to about 400 RPM. And with a 3/8 inch swept back bowl gouge, I'll just keep working it away. And now that's quite small, so I'm going to turn it down to about 200 RPM, and I'm going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch, pressure towards the headstock, and when the little nub stops turning, we'll know we're through. Like that. Then I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand it up, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Well, here it is, one plum bowl in the books. Real pretty grain, don't you think? Pretty colors. What do you think of that shape? Think it's kind of odd? I'm not a teacher, but if you learn anything from my videos, I would love it if you learned that you need to stop frequently when you're turning. You don't have to like this piece. Not everyone will. I do. Look at that beautiful, beautiful bark. I mean, it's gorgeous. But you have to stop the lathe and take a look at what you got going on so that you don't go past the opportunity to make something. Like I said, you don't have to like this. You don't have to like the flat sides. But every piece doesn't have to be round. Just because it's a lathe and it makes round things doesn't mean you have to make round things. There's the bottom all finished up. Just as pretty as the rest of it. I just really like it. Thank you, Tuffy Marginez, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I read all of them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.